Sutra 82. Guna Mahat Maya Sakti, Rupa Sakti, Puja Sakti, Smarana Sakti, Dasya Sakti, Sakhya Sakti, Vatsalya Sakti, Kanta Sakti, Atmanivedana Sakti, Tanmaya Sakti, Param Vireha Sakti Rupa Eka Dashadha Bhavati. Although the path of the Lord is one, it is expressed in 11 different forms. 1. Attachment to the Lord's virtues and glories. 2. Attachment to His beauty. 3. Attachment to His worship. 4. Attachment to His remembrance. 5. Attachment to serving Him. 6. Attachment to loving Him as His friend. 7. Attachment to caring for Him as a parent. 8. Attachment to caring for Him as His wife. 9. Attachment to complete self-surrender unto Him. 10. Attachment to being in a state of absorption in Him. And 11. Attachment to the supreme anguish of separation from Him. In this aphorism, Sage Narad reveals 11 types of devotion, although fundamentally devotion is one path. The great souls who reach the highest stage of devotion possess one or some of these 11 types of attachments, such as the gopis of Vraj did. One should choose one or as many of these attachments as one can, and with the guidance of a spiritual master, cultivate the resulting relationship with the Lord. The process to connect to the Lord should be understood clearly. In many religions, people chant the Lord's holy name on beads, but whilst chanting, the mind wanders towards worldly affairs. People are also easily distracted by external noises. These diversions show that the attachment is there for the other activities and not for the holy name, or for the Lord. Attachment gives rise to one-pointedness. This type of single-mindedness can be demonstrated by the example of a playful child. When the child is reluctantly called back from playtime with his friends to complete his study, he is unable to focus on his schoolwork because his mind redirects itself back to the game he was playing with them, as if he never left their company. He tries to find an opportunity to sneak out. In the same way, there are many other earthly attachments, such as attachment to money, to status, to family, to one's appearance, and so forth. But Sage Narad's wisdom in the form of these 11 types of devotion becomes a spiritual antidote to the bitterness of those worldly attachments. Narad elaborates on these 11 forms in more detail. 1. Attachment to the Lord's virtues and glories. One's eyes and ears can be attracted towards anything. When one is charmed by another's beauty or impressed by his work, especially when one hears his praises, one becomes enthusiastic to see and meet that person. In the same way, Sage Narad reveals that when an aspirant is eager to know the Lord, he should attach himself by listening to His virtues and glories. The Srimad Bhagavatam 4.20.24 states, O Lord, I do not desire to merge into you, for in that state I cannot taste the ambrosia of your lotus feet. I would rather prefer to be blessed with 1,000,000 ears, with which I can listen to the glories of your lotus feet from your great devotees. The gopis felt this strong attachment to the dark-coloured boy Krishna, and it was so intense that they proclaimed all black-coloured things to be dangerous. In the anguish of separation from Krishna, an angry Radha told the gopis, "So let us give up all friendship with Krishna. But we cannot live without hearing about him." Srimad Bhagavatam 10.47.17. 2. Attachment to His beauty. After hearing the glories and virtues of a person, one becomes eager to see and meet him. Sage Narad says that the devotee should attach himself to the Lord's beauty. To see someone in the heart is very difficult. To see someone with closed eyes can be possible, because one can internally visualize an image of that person. But to see someone with eyes wide open in his absence, and to create that internal image externally, is impossible unless one has attachment with that person. When attachment is not there, he cannot meditate on someone's beauty, even if it is in front of him. Beauty has existed in the world since time immemorial, and humans are naturally drawn to beauty. Therefore, this form of devotion is pleasurable for them. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.19.16, the young cowherd women loved watching Krishna come home, since for them, a moment without him was like 100 ages. When Lord Ram injured the demon Supanika, she ran towards her brothers Khar and Dushan for protection. Upon seeing her injuries, her brothers became furious and went in search of Lord Ram to kill him. Just by seeing the Lord's beauty, they forgot everything and declared, "Hum bhari janam sunahu sab bhai dekhi nahi asi sundar tai jadyapi bhagini kinhi karupa badh layak nahi purush anupa." In our whole lives, we have never seen beauty like yours. Although you have taken away our sister's beauty by cutting off her nose, we cannot bring ourselves to hurt you, for to do so would be to harm your incomparable attractiveness. Ramcharitramanas Aranya Kand. 3. Attachment to his worship. Just seeing a person whom one has affection for does not necessarily make it easier for one to express one's feelings towards that person. So Sage Narad says, after attachment to the beauty of the Lord, one should start to serve him by worshipping him. One should worship him like Uddhav. When he was 5 years old, Uddhav used to dress, serve and worship dolls, believing them to be Krishna. Uddhav was so absorbed in his adoration that when his mother called him to eat breakfast, he did not want to come. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.2. 4. Attachment to his remembrance. When one worships the Lord, one should connect oneself to the Lord by remembering him with one-pointedness, without being distracted by worldly affairs. Vipado neva vipaddaha sampado neva sampadaha. Vipad vismaranam Vishnoho sampannarayana smritihi. Worldly gain is not real pain, nor worldly wealth is real wealth. To forget the Lord is the only true misery, and to remember him is true wealth. Sanskrit proverb. 5. Attachment to serving him. The soul is an eternal servant of the Lord. An aspirant should develop an attitude akin to that of the charioteer Darun. One day, whilst fanning Lord Krishna, Darun began to feel overwhelmed and blessed by serving the Lord in this way. He was fully aware that there were many devotees who wanted to be in his position, yet he was a fortunate one designated with this service. At the same time, Darun tried to stop these sentiments of arrogance or pride, which he knew would become obstacles in his devotion, by reminding himself that he was merely a servant of his master. He felt that by performing this service, he should not be seeking his personal happiness. Instead, he should ascertain whether his beloved is happy or not. In the Lord's pleasure rests the servant's joy. Any sincere servant who practices devotion should have this nature, and regard the Lord as his master. 6. Attachment to loving him as a friend. When the devotee becomes a servant, the Lord tries to become his friend. When Lord Krishna incarnated on this earth, he used to deliberately lose games to make his friends happy. A servant is someone who always keeps himself far, but friendship brings him closer to the Lord. In Lord Ram's era, his brother Bharat said, "I have realized the grace of my Lord in my heart, for he would make himself the loser of the game, although it is I who should have lost it." Ramcharitramanas. 7. Attachment to caring for him as a parent. Initially, the relationship of a devotee with his Lord is that of a servant, which intensifies and reaches a second stage, where the Lord and the devotee become friends. Sage Narad says that when one loves and cares for the beloved as a baby, it is known as a third phase, and it is a much deeper relationship with the Lord. Mother Yashoda and Nand Baba had this love for Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna incarnated on earth to kill Hiranyaksh, all the oceans could not fill his hair follicles. This was not the case when the same Lord Krishna came as Yashoda's child. In his incarnation as Varaha, all the waters of the 7 seas could not even fill the Lord's pores. But the same Lord, when he came as Yashoda's son, bathed in just as much water as his mother could hold in the palms of her hands. Krishna Karnamrit 2.27. 8. Attachment to caring for him as his wife. In aphorism 66, Narad mentioned that an aspirant can devote himself as a wife to serve the Lord. Here, Narad says that a devotee, whether male or female, can cultivate a more profound attachment to him, deeper than a parental one, by serving him as his wife. 9. Attachment to complete self-surrender unto him. This attachment means to offer all that one possesses to please one's Lord. 10. Attachment to being in a state of absorption in him. When Lord Krishna disappeared from the Ras Mandal, the gopis of Vraj forgot everything, including their own identities, and started to behave as if they were Krishna. Some gopis were wearing yellow shawls and acting like Krishna, whilst another gopi started to play the flute, thinking she was the Lord. Fully immersed in his love, the gopis were imitating Krishna's plays, thinking that they had become him. Absorption in him comes when, as a lover, the devotee forgets himself. And 11. Attachment to the supreme anguish of separation from him. There are 2 types of separation. 1, where a devotee calls him and he appears and then disappears. And 2, where the devotee feels separation in the presence of the Lord. In the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna was playing a water game with his wives, and all of a sudden the wives started to weep. Although Krishna was in their presence, the wives felt that he was not there. Once, Radha and Krishna were sitting together. All of a sudden, Radha felt the anguish of extreme separation from her beloved and started crying, "Krishna, Krishna, Krishna." She fell unconscious thereafter. Seeing the condition of Radha, Krishna felt separation and started crying, "Radha, Radha, Radha." He too became unconscious in separation. When Radha regained her consciousness, she found Krishna unconscious, so she started to weep again until she fainted. This cycle continued until Radha's closest friend, Lalita, came to intervene. When one's desires are fulfilled, the yearning for the object of desire disappears. Hence, to maintain this longing, the sentiment of profound separation is necessary in devotion. Therefore, spiritual masters like Sage Narad always encourage the aspirants to cultivate an attachment where they feel intense separation in love.